Okay, welcome everyone to tonight's Flippinar. I'm Ty Taylor, aka the Flip Man. I have my partner in crime, Darren, here. He's out in San Diego, I think. Right?
I'm in Sacramento right now.
Sacramento. Okay, he's out on the West Coast, so I guess it's 4 o'clock there. But we welcome everyone on the line. Hopefully, you can hear me. Just fine or whatever. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Um, One moment, desktop. Okay, tonight's topic. Well, obviously, we're all on here for wholesaling houses, no cash or credit, step by step. But tonight's topic, throw a little curveball, let you take you outside the box, and discuss wholesaling houses versus wholesaling apartments, and see what you think. I'm sure you're going to learn something here. Different avenue on the business. You know, real estate is so vast and so many ways to make money. Just going to broaden your horizon just a little tonight. But I'm assuming you can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But just to for those that are maybe your first time here or whatever, the way it's going to flow, and those that are here, and I'm doing this for the people that haven't been on the webinar before, is that we go through a process that if you've been on here before that you will see, and then we'll get into the topic. The great thing, some of you all are here only because you have an opportunity to win the course for free. Wholesaling houses and apartments. We're going to give two of those away at the end of the Flippinar, but you must be in attendance to receive it. So we'll do that an hour and a half from now. We will have a question and answer period that will allow you to ask any question, and I'll answer it. Obviously on the topic, we don't want to get silly here or whatever. But so we'll go ahead and begin. Just
You went you went out on us there, Flip man. But till we get them back, we just go over the honest disclaimer. You're not going to make $10,000 a month if you do absolutely nothing. Can everyone hear me, or you just can't hear Flip man?
can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay. All right. I guess my earbuds are not going to work. Okay. So, but anyway, I see the earnest disclaimer. If obviously, if you don't do anything, you know you're not going to make 10 grand a month. It's just not going to happen. So most people understand that. As I mentioned, we will give away two courses, wholesaling houses and apartments. No coaching, just the courses only. Two of those free at the end of the Flippinar. We'll do a phone one. People that have called in by phone, depending on how many of them, because sometimes it's such a small number. But well, we'll do that. That's fine. It doesn't matter what the number is. If it's one person in, then they're the lucky one, and we'll do the other people. So, um, but we'll give away two courses, two free courses with no coaching at the end of the Flippinar. My goal here, if you're currently in real estate or whether you don't know anything about real estate, as I did nearly 14 years ago, I didn't know anything about it and got involved. But my goal here is to broaden your horizon on how the process can change your situation financially, no matter where you are. Now, obviously, the smaller the town is, the less opportunities are going to present themselves. But generally speaking, most people are within reach of something of significance where they can do deals. You can still hear me fine now, Darren? Hello?
Yes, sir. We can hear you just fine.
All right, good, good. Yeah, just check. I guess it may have been the earbuds, but if you could just periodically maybe text me or something, let me know we're good or whatever. But All right.
Okay.
So the question is, what is wholesaling? And because we're going to be talking about apartments also tonight, along with houses, so just wholesaling real estate, and most of this is about wholesaling houses. But my simple definition, I guess the street or layman's definition is being able to control a property with a contract, and someone basically buys your contract for cash. And how that's done simply is that you locate a property, whether through you looking for a property or it comes through your marketing funnel, but a seller has called you and contacted you about selling a property, or you contacted them about buying the property. But you negotiate a price that's cheap enough that it's a no-brainer to cash investors in and possibly outside of your market. This is on houses, obviously, but I'll get into apartment. I'll just explain wholesaling houses. But regardless, it's a deal that someone wants to basically buy you out of the deal. And how that's done is either through an assignment of contract or a double close, which my preference is an assignment of contract. Both work. So that's wholesaling as far as my definition. Locating the property, negotiating with the seller, placing it in the contract, advertising the property, or unless you already have a buyer's list, buyer says they want it, you agree on the price, you do a contract with your buyer, you have contract A, you have contract B, you close on the property, you get the difference between contract A, which is lower than contract B, you get the difference of the two. That is a wholesale transaction. Question is this something you need to be doing? Well, I just want to give you an example here, where some of you have already seen this video testimonial from a student in Memphis, but I just want to show you just simple return on investment as what he had into it. And his story is unique, but obviously possible as far as how fast it occurred for him and how he actually found the deal. But simply put, he found the deal by placing an ad on Craigslist. Very difficult to do it that way, but he was fortunate and he did. He only gave them a $10 earnest money deposit, and he made $6,440.40 in 25 days. I think he gave it to him on August 2nd of this year, and he closed on August 27th. That's 25 days according to my math. If you do the return on investment with a $10 earnest money deposit invested, and the return, the actual investment that he got back, or the return earnings, was $6,440.40. That's an ROI of 64,344%. Now I know that sounds ridiculous, but those are real numbers. Those are real numbers. Now, assuming that the person that purchased the property, like I have it over here in the bottom left of the screen here, just as an example, that the investor purchased the property for him with the purchase, paying my guy in Memphis, and closing costs, he had $50,000, and with repairs, he had $50,000 invested in it. Assuming he flipped it for $80,000. He flipped it for $80,000. That's a $30,000 return, but just the return on investment is 60%. Now, obviously, he made a lot more money than the $6,444.40. But the risk that he had of it, because he either had his money at risk or someone else's money or his credit on the line in some form or fashion. And so the risk reward, and plus, how long did it take them to get that $80,000 or that $30,000 payday on top of their 50? So those are things you have to weigh. Both work, both earn money, but just comparing the two, people call me all the time, and they even have money, and they'll ask me, should I start flipping first? I say I would suggest that you start to try to wholesale first. It'll allow you to learn the business. You won't have anything at risk. You will learn how to negotiate deals, and you won't ever lose that mentality when you're negotiating deals from the wholesale side of the game, because that allows you to negotiate probably the best deal possible or close to it. But to move on, just to tell you a little bit about me. I'm an entrepreneur first. Got the bug in my early 20s, and you can't shake it. It's just like blood. I needed to live. That mentality. Some of y'all may not have it, and I don't think you actually even need it to be a successful real estate investor. You may only want to do real estate. Now, for me, it's just the only thing that I've been successful at as far as an entrepreneur. But just a quick story before I got into real estate, went to college like many of you have done, and had the great idea I was going to buy cars and sell them used and make a killing by using my student loan money. Got my hat handed to me. One thing you have to know when you're in that business, you have to be mechanically inclined, because when you go to those dealers auctions, they're going to make those cars. The car can be 15 years old, but it's going to look like it's right off the showroom floor, but it may be a piece of junk or whatever. So got my hat handed to them. Then I had the great idea I was going to do a mobile car wash. It was great as long as it was warm. Once it got a little cooler, realized that was something I couldn't do. All right, did some multi-level marketing, network marketing stuff. Actually, before I even got into real estate, I was doing prepaid legal. I think it's called Legal Shield now. And but how I got introduced to real estate on a serious level is through a friend of mine. He and his now wife were going to school to become realtors. And the guy that normally taught the class wasn't there. The substitute talked about real estate investing and not being a realtor. And most people think those are the same thing, which they really are not as far as training. You don't get any investing training as a realtor. But this guy, he talked about creative ways of real estate investing, basically no money down techniques. My friend shared some of the things that the guy told them that night. I did struck my interest. That was in October of 2002. I didn't act on it at that time. Fast forward a couple of months later, after Christmas, I was at my mom's house up early that morning waiting on her to prepare breakfast. And I was watching TV. And back then, 2002, Carlton Sheets was still heavy on with infomercials early in the morning on Saturday and Sunday mornings. And as many of you had seen back then, they'll have, testimonials and people, I made this much money, but how did you make the money? But with all that being said, it struck my interest. So at that time, my mom didn't have internet, so I waited till I got back to Birmingham and did a search online on this entrepreneur board I used to frequent. It was called ablake.net, and message board, and asked the question, does Carlton Sheets program really work? And one person replied and said, yes, it does, but Ron LeGrand's course is better. And I did a search for Ron's information. At that time, he was selling it for $1,500. Was a lot of money. I didn't have it to spend. And I saw on the site they had a condensed version of it for $69.99 with shipping to $80. I received that. It was just a teaser. It was in cassette form, which that lets you know how long ago it was. But I listened to it. It really inspired me that, hey, if I have to get a second job, I would do that to save that $1,500. Fast forward a couple of days later, thought about eBay. I said, let me do a search for Ron LeGrand. And I did. There were a couple of auctions on that exact course. And I lost the auction, but the guy reached out to me. I guess you could do that back then with eBay. I don't think you can really do that now. He reached out to me and asked me would I want a bootleg copy of a burnt CD copy of the courses. And we did. We agreed on $400. I sent him the $400. That still was a struggle at that time. But, hey, to this date, the best I don't know if I ever spend that kind of money, get the return that I've gotten off of that $400 investment. But got the course. It was just information, went from zero to just information overload. Wholesaling houses, lease options, retailing, which is flipping. Sale by owner, subject to, just too much information. And so it took me about 3 weeks to go through all the information. But if I didn't get anything out of it, I was still terrified about making a move, but I am an action taker. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. But if I didn't get anything out of wholesaling houses and somewhat lease options, attracted me. But the main thing that I got, I understood that I need to get my phone ringing, and bandit signs were attractive to me because I'm not a person. I know it may not seem like it, but I'm a very, I'm not sure what the word is, but introvert. But I like to eat too, so I do what I need to do. But So it attracted me that if I could put the message out there, we buy houses and my phone number, or I buy houses and my phone number, and people call me versus me calling them. So I paid for some bandit signs. I overpaid for them. I didn't know at that time. Somebody said the sound is going in and out. Is it going in and out there?
No, we're good.
Okay.
No,
All right.
we're
All
good.
right.
We're good to go.
All right. So overpaid for the bandit signs, $250 for 50 signs. I didn't know any better, but hey, it was what it was. Those they paid off. Got my signs, put them out on a Sunday morning. Started getting calls that Monday. First two calls were actually deals. Not saying that's going to happen for you, but this is my story. One of them was a lease option opportunity that ended up blowing up in my face, even though the lady had given me, the tenant buyer had given me $5,000 cash sitting in the old Charlie's that used to be on Center Point Parkway. You all that are local to Birmingham know what I'm talking about. And that was the most cash money I had in my hand outside of a tax return check. But long story short, the owner of the property was an idiot, and I ended up having to give the woman her money back. The second deal was a actual wholesale deal where these sisters decided to sell their mother's house that they inherited initially when she died. They had, we're not going to sell mom's house, but they tried renting it out to a couple of relatives. That didn't work out, so they were motivated to sell, tired of being landlords, which there are a lot of that. They don't care what market that you're in. So we agreed on a $20,000 price. I advertised it at 20. I'm not sure what that number I advertised that, but it ended up at 25,000. A realtor called me saying he had a buyer for my deal, but he needed half of my money after I explained to him what was going to happen. So instead of me making $5,000, I ended up making $2,500. I met them in a parking lot. They gave me a $500 earnest money check, signed the contract. A few days later, we closed at their attorney. I didn't know an attorney or title. I didn't know the process at all. But I picked up a $2,500 on March 5th, 2003. At that time, it might as well have been $250,000 because I had failed at so many other things before. And so next 12 months, did 10 deals or so. Probably could have quit my job then, but I was just afraid to, just from a previous experience I had. I don't want to get too bogged down on that. But I finally did on May 1st, 2006. As I said, I failed at quite a few businesses. Oh, man, a lot of stuff. I just always used to have ideas that I thought would work or whatever, and my mind was already turning on. And I thought about that the other day. I said, I don't do that anymore. I guess you can get so sidetracked. That's why I probably don't do it. But anyone can do this if I do it. I'm from a town of less than 1,000 people. I'm no smarter than you are. I'm born and raised here in Bama, whatever that means to you. As many of you have discovered the hard way, and there is not way. I guess the only way you can say it is cheap because you're doing what the masses are not doing, and so thinking you need tons of money to start in real estate, wasting time thinking you need a license. I'm saying you don't have you can get one if you want to, but you definitely don't need a license to do this business. I don't have one and don't intend to get one. Some people just wait until you figure it out. I see a lot of that. When people call and say, I've been thinking about this for 3 years. I just can't relate to that. They probably know more than me, just for his information. I have a lot of experience in what's real and probably what's not real as far as information. But thinking about it for 3 years, I just don't get that. But anyway, people read books, and most of the time, which I'm not a reader, but it's rare that someone calls me. I get all types of calls, and people share their story with me and at what point they are as far as their knowledge. But most books are not going to go into the detail, and I'm not hating on what everybody puts out there, but it is normal. It is what it is. You tell yourself it's just an upsell to something else. Obviously, you got to do something. We work in jobs, and most people are working jobs that they don't like. I actually, that really is not my story. I was appreciative of my job, so that makes me like it or whatever, but I wanted more, so, but some people just hate their job. Dealing with someone very close to me right now that hates their job and it's affecting them mentally, so, um, but, and I'll share the information, everything I know with them for free, but, you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink, but taking, pointless business classes in college. And I was thinking about that the other day, and I was listening to something about um, kids going early for the NFL or the NBA or whatever, and they should stay in school to learn how to manage their money. College doesn't teach you that. You would probably learn more in a book or a short seminar or something on sort of money management versus what it's on. Now, some colleges, probably, let me just say that it didn't teach you where I went. Let me say, if you're at Stanford, maybe, but a lot of colleges, it's just not designed that way. But I've been to a lot of seminars. Even after I started making money, I was still going to seminars. Now, the only reason that I was going to seminars was I wasn't going to pay for anything. Well, you know what? I did pay for some courses, but I never paid for a seminar, like a live event. But I was going there hoping I could get something that I wasn't already doing, marketing wise. As far as the process, I didn't think I was going to learn anything different than the actual process or whatever. But, and I was right. And I did pick up a couple of things through a couple of courses, just from the marketing side of that was done differently. But at the end of the day, it always came back to my bread and butter because it's more efficient that way. But again, like I said, I gave myself information overload when I actually started. But again, even with information overload, and most people don't want to make mistakes, I took action. So just wanted to share some of that stuff with you about me, the process, the line of thinking, because I think it fits what a lot of people do. And just wanted to mention again, stick around. Going to give away 2 free courses at the end of this Flippinar. All right, so let's get into why we're here in this particular topic. Everybody's still good. Everybody can still hear me, I assume. Okay, good. All right, so wholesaling houses versus wholesaling apartments. All right, just to talk about this for a second before I get to the bullet points. Um, you can wholesale anything when it comes to real estate. Um, it is a very interesting way to make money. Now, for the most part, the true wealth building is holding on to real estate. But if you want to change your financial situation, that's long term investment. That's after you started making money, and paying your bills is not an issue anymore. That's when you make those, in my opinion. At least one of the things I learned even from Ron LeGrand back then. Worry about today's bills first. So worry about that first. I have to calm a lot of people down, and they've already shared their experience with me where they are financially. I say, don't worry about all that stuff, and you need to make sure you can pay your bills every month comfortably, where it's not an issue. So, and then you can get into these other forms of real estate that will allow you to build wealth. All right, so but uh, wholesaling houses uh, versus apartments, they are very similar once you get a seller and a buyer in place. But to get to those points is very different. And the type of money that can be made on wholesaling houses versus wholesaling apartments can be dramatically different. Because you can easily be in 7 figures dealing with apartments as far as the actual transaction, and there's an opportunity there for you to make high 5 figures, even 6 figures. I've never done a 6-figure deal, but I've done several 5-figure deals with apartments. I'm still looking for that, so transparent. I'm still searching, but hey, those 5 figures been really well also. But the main thing is that I think that there are a lot of pros and cons with both wholesaling houses. For the most part, I'm gonna say the pro versus the main pro is that it can happen really quick. You can literally wholesale a house in a week. In a week, I've done it too many times. You can do it in a week. That's not normal, but it's very possible. Now I hadn't done nearly as number of apartment deals, but a smaller apartment unit, yeah, 4 units, 5 units, 10 units, maybe even 20 units, maybe. It just depends. You can do those fairly quickly, but it just those opportunities are not as vast or in the numbers that are with houses. So that's the pro that I see over houses over apartments. As far as the pro as far as with apartments is that it's going to be a couple of things. There's less competition of people actually trying to pursue and do those deals, along with the paydays. The paydays are just going to dwarf houses on average. So just wanted to share those couple of things, but I'm gonna go ahead and get to the bullet points here and go through this. And as I said, we'll answer questions at the end of the seminar, at the end of the Flippinar here. How are they the same? I think I just spoke about that. Once you have a seller and buyer in place, closing the deal is going to be the same now. Only difference now, depending on how large of a deal it is, as far as apartments, cash may be off the table, and they may have to use some financing. So, but it doesn't prevent you getting paid in this arena. With houses, it'll be very difficult, but in the commercial side of business, it's just different. It's just different now. Everybody's investor minded, from the lender, from the broker, to the buyer, to the seller. Obviously, everybody's investor minded. So it's just different. So getting the deal closed is the same. Once you have a buyer and seller in place, again, how are they different? Okay. We'll just start with evaluating. With a house, you have to get it so extremely cheap to wholesale it in most cases. Just so extremely cheap versus what it would be worth fixed up, or the ARV, after repair value, or better defined, how much would it appraise for in excellent condition. The other thing is that with wholesaling houses is that the process of for the evaluating, you're just going to simply compare what other houses have sold for versus what in relation to the house that you're actually targeting. So that's the evaluation problem. It's that simple with houses, where with apartments, a couple of ways it's evaluated. Some people like to evaluate it on comps similar to houses, but on what other apartment buildings are selling for in that area. They want to know what is it selling for per door. And what they may mean by that is it may be selling $25,000 per door. So if you got 10 doors, that's $250. So that means 10 separate apartments in that particular building, or the number of buildings. So that's $250,000 if they're selling 10,000 per door. A lot of investors don't like to do it that way. They like to do it based on the income that the property will produce or is producing. As a wholesaler, you only want to go by, just in my opinion, with the apartments, you only want to go by what the property will produce in income right now when you're trying to decide if you're going to do a deal on it or not. You can't go on pro forma. That's saying what it will do based on if this factor, or that factor. Now, comparing repairs with apartment versus houses, even with houses, someone could be living there and you do the deal, but with wholesaling houses, obviously at some point that person has to move out, unless you wholesaling a property where there's a renter already in there. Okay, that is possible. I have done that before, not that often, but I have done that before. It's very common and preferred with apartments that the property is somewhat already rented, if not completely full. Some buyers don't want a property full. They want it 60, 50% occupied, or 50% vacant, or 40% vacant. And the reason that the term is used as a value add. They think they can get a discount on it, but if they can get a discount on it because of the low occupancy rate, then they can add value by maybe doing some repairs and adding some other services or fees to and just simply raising the rent. And so they may buy the property just as a easy number for $500,000, but once they get it to maybe just 95%, we'll just say 90% occupied, and bump the rent, maybe add a couple of services, maybe like a laundromat or something to produce some more income. Now it may be valued at $1.2 million. So those are the things in the difference. It's just a total evaluation process compared to apartments down that, and that somewhat keep going to bullet number 3, keep the competition away when you're targeting apartments versus houses. Now, I always encourage my students to do both. There's no reason you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? You just do both. Houses can, where I look at it, houses can maintain a lifestyle. Doing like apartments, it just is creating a savings or a future to do other things. Now, you can manage your money however you want to, but that's why I encourage you to do both. Now, if you get into some ignorant money on apartments, and you know every deal you do is 6 figures, then yeah, houses might not be worth your time. You need to spend more time doing apartments if you're doing them frequently. So, you know, you have to make that decision. But competition, most people just know wholesaling houses. It's not even a consideration to wholesale apartment buildings or multifamily. It's not even a consideration. All right, well, number 4, with sellers and owners. Well, with houses, for the most part, I'm going to probably say it's probably like 70-30 that the person that you're dealing with houses, they're not invested. They're not investors. They just somehow, they may be renting out a property, but they're not considered an investor. They just been an additional house they had because they bought another house. So 70%, in my opinion, I ain't no real numbers on that, but 70% of the people that I've dealt with in my past, just from thinking about it, probably have really no investing experience, and the other 30% does. Normally, motivated sellers is just not going to come from the investor side when you're dealing with houses. Whereas with apartments, everybody's an investor. You know, it's an investment. You're dealing with an investment mindset when you're dealing with sellers and owners. It's just totally different. Now, there are some advantages and there are some disadvantages with dealing with apartment owners that are investors. The main thing is that so you're just not normally going to get the price you want as cheap. So, but you don't. That's the great thing about apartments. You don't have to be 30 cents or 20 cents or 40 cents on the dollar. You know, it just so many factors go into whether it's a great deal or not. You're not going to pay retail by no means, because you have to have some room there to bump it where you make money as a wholesaler, but nothing nearly as discounted as you have to have them as houses. Now, it's talking about buyers. Now, again, everybody that's dealing in the apartment arena, they're investor minded. Some are going to be more savvy than others, obviously. But buyers, generally speaking, with apartment buildings, you will have a mix where some like to do houses and apartments. They just want rental income. But then you'll have buyers that only do just apartment buildings. Now, how you seek those out is a little different than with houses. A great source in a lot of cases, just simply advertising the property, depending on how small it is or how large it is, and that'll determine where you advertise it. But going through actual commercial real estate brokers is a great way to target buyers, and also property management owners. Property management companies is a great way to target buyers. Okay, so locating and finding deals when you're comparing the two. Now, with houses, it's all about marketing, in my opinion. Now, you can probably run your business if you have the patience to do a lot of research and you find deals that way. But I'm a big believer. a big believer that people call you. You all can still hear me okay? It says stop screen sharing, stop.
Yes,
Okay, good.
we can hear you just fine.
All right, good. Okay, so locating and finding deals, whereas again with houses, it's all about market, whereas with apartments, it can just be all about research. Now you can still do direct mail when targeting apartment owners, and depending on the source where you purchase a list from to target them, that will all depend on how the county that you're targeting those those property owners in, how they code those type of real estate properties. I know here in Jefferson County, which is the main county that I do just a lot of transactions in as far as houses, the apartment side of it is difficult to find when you're using someone like a service like List Source or Melissa Data. But another way that you can find apartment deals is again through brokers, through property management owners. They know these people. Now, being off market is just as important as it is with houses, in my opinion. Now, you can find deals on houses online, but it takes a special, in my opinion, it takes a special type of buyer where you can find a property online and then wholesale it. You know, you have to have a buyer that either you have a really good relationship with, or they really don't care that it's online and being advertised online. They're not going to kind of go around you, contact the person. So it can be done. It's just you have to understand the process. Same thing with apartments. You can go all day on LoopNet.com and find apartments for multifamily for sale. But when you try to wholesale it, trust me, this comes from experience. It is very difficult when as soon as they Google the address, and that's the first thing that they're going to do. More than likely, those first 4 or 5 listings, one of those is going to be the LoopNet listing showing this property for sale with that broker's contact information. You don't want that. So locating your deals with houses, you're going to do that through flat out marketing. In my opinion, you can do it through research also. Don't get me wrong. But with apartments, you can do marketing, but a lot of that is just reaching out to the individuals that know these owners, property management companies, along with commercial brokers. There are a few websites out there that I show my students. And of course, one main website that you can reach out to possibly the actual owner of the property on a certain type of apartments. And one thing I didn't mention about apartments, whereas with houses, obviously you have your blue collar areas, you have your maybe lower middle class, upper middle class, and obviously beyond. With apartments, they're graded in four levels of A, B, C, and D. D would be probably, I guess, some of the quote unquote more undesirable neighborhoods, and A would be the most desirable neighborhoods, and then you have B and C. So then some of that factors in on how old the age of the property, not only just the neighborhood or whatever, but the age of the property and so on. There are several factors that'll qualify as an A, B, C, or D. D's and A's are probably more easier to identify than C's and B's as far as apartments. And that's one of the questions that a lot of buyers will ask you whenever you're trying to promote a property or whatever. So negotiating. Again, now this is totally different when you're dealing with houses, because obviously you're trying to get it as cheap as possible, and that's the only way you're probably going to be able to make money off of it. Obviously, with apartments, you're always trying to get the best deal possible, but you don't have to get it nearly as cheap because there's so many other factors that go into negotiating a deal as far as apartments and what will be attractive to an investor. And another technique that can be to your advantage more so than wholesaling houses, and you can do it with wholesaling houses also, don't get me wrong, is creative financing. If you can put that in place, you can make that even more attractive to an investor than if it was a cash deal, because of how little it takes for him to get into the transaction and ownership of the property. Again, what's a deal? I discussed that earlier. Determining what's a deal with apartments. There's just so many factors that go into it versus what it takes to go into what's a deal for a house. a house can be cut and dry. You can determine if you got to deal with a house within within 5 minutes. A lady called me just before this webinar started and gave me a price on a house in an area that I don't do a lot of deals in, but I'm familiar with it. She gave me a price cheap enough for me to at least go out there. The price that she gave me won't work, but it does give me a starting point. And so, and she said, well, we're asking, and most people let you know if they're firm or not. So, but with apartments, determining what's a deal or not, again, it's just so many factors as far as the number of units, how many are rented, the condition of the property, the income that's coming in, how accurate or how efficient the owner or the property management company are keeping records, because you have to analyze those for rent rolls, the last couple of years of financials. You want year-to-date financials. You have to take all of that stuff in consideration. The number of bedrooms and baths, they call that unit mix. The number of bedrooms and bathrooms, all of that factors in. And obviously where it's located within the real estate, that's probably the first starting point. Where is it located? All right. Now, doing your contract and earnest money deposit. Now, you're not going to be able to get away with $10 with apartments in most cases. Now, you're dealing with a 4-unit deal and it's only 40 grand. So you might still do that, because you can find deals like it depending what market you're in. They could be just as cheap as houses when you start talking about a small amount of units there. Or you may find a vacant 20-unit building. You may be able to get it because they may just be that motivated to sell. But generally speaking, the contract process will probably be a little different in a lot of cases when you get into your bigger units and your more high priced properties, when you start talking about apartments versus houses. As far as earnest money deposit, that can get crazy also. But there are ways around that. It's all about negotiations, guys. Earnest money is not a law. It's just a standard of practice. And how you structure your deals, it is more customary that the way it's done now, and that's what people are used to. But like with anything, with price, if you don't have the earnest money, the price might work for you, but the earnest money, if they want it in a certain way, that can be a deal breaker. No different if they gave you the price that didn't work for you, which would make it a deal breaker. So it's that simple for me. But my motto is, everybody won't, but enough will. Again, everybody won't, but enough will. And that's with anything, because we're in a form of sales at the end of the day. When you're trying to convince people to take a price that you want them to accept to make it work for you. All right. Just to get to price, again, apartments, you can just get into some ridiculous numbers. Obviously, 5-figure, 6-figure, and even 7-figure deals. Darren and I, with not on apartments, but we're making offers on 7-figure properties every day. And within the last couple of weeks, we figured out a little niche on top of what we're doing, flipping vacant commercial buildings, and we're making offers daily on properties that are 7 figures and more. So, but again, at the end of the day, it's still all about the process from the contract to the earnest money and whether you have a deal or not. And the price is always going to be the determining factor, no matter what level of real estate you're on, is his main thing. So with closing, again, once you get a seller and buyer in place, it's pretty much going to work the same. It may be a little bit more complicated with apartments, depending on how large of a project it is. But the closing, pulling title and the process of verifying income, and with apartments, they may want to see tax returns from a few years, just depending on the size of the property in a lot of cases, and the condition, the occupancy rate, and so on. So I hope I went through some of the differences between the two, the opportunities that can exist when you're dealing with apartments. Before I get into the next phase of this, I just wanted to make sure you stick around to to win one of the 2 free courses that we're going to give away at the end of the webinar, at the end of the Flippinar. So, but just to the topic at hand is always obviously wholesaling houses, and you're here to change the financial situation and replace either the job that you have or to add on to what you have. So to answer that question, how to make a full-time income and replace the BS job you hate, I was terrified when I quit myself. 3 to 5 deals per month will do that for you. Let's just break it down really simple, just some simple numbers here. Just from my experience, if you want to do 3 to 5 deals per month, you must talk to 3 to 5 sellers per day. You are a marketer in reality instead of a wholesaler or real estate investor. You are someone, your objective is when you wake up every morning is how can I continue to keep my phone ringing, and how can I get my phone to ring? It's just really that simple. So let's break it down. It's just if you did just 1 deal per month, no one would even know you existed in your market. You did 1 deal a month, and you averaged $5,000 to $7,000 per deal. That's 12 deals in a year. That's between $60,000 to $84,000 per year. For most people, that changes that situation. Even if you're already making that type of money, if you add that on to what you're making, that changes your situation dramatically. It just does. It's a lot of money, but in the scheme of things, for real estate, it's not a lot of money. So let's go a little higher. 2 deals per month, $5,000 to $7,000 per month. That's $5,000 to $7,000 per deal. That's 24 deals in a year. That's $120,000 to $168,000 per year. Get a little better. 5 deals per month. Now you know a little bit in your market. That's $5,000 to $7,000 per deal. 60 deals a year. That's $300K to $420,000 per year. As I said before, now they know you at the bank. Hello, Mr. Taylor. How are you doing today? I'm doing great. How are you? To do that many deals, guys, there's no magic wand that I wave to do the deals I do. But if I'm not doing the marketing I should be doing, I'm not going to do deals. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. There's no, if I'm not talking to the right number of people, I'm not going to do deals. So I'm no special, no smarter than you are. Definitely not anything special. I just take action, and I just continue to repeat what works. But I'm also always trying to add on to what works. But we want to go ahead and open it up to questions and answers. Here now, I'm going to remove my screen here in a second. But before I get into that, if you need proof of funds, you can get it at realpof.com. If you're trying to make offers through realtors, you can do that through realpof.com. Also, I wanted to add this. If you do not win, I wanted to add this special bonus opportunity. If you don't win the course, for you all that are in attendance tonight, you're going to have an opportunity to make 3 easy payments of $197, and we split the first 5 deals 50-50. You could do that at theflipman.com. You can go sign up and take advantage of that at theflipman.com. That's 3 easy payments of $197. So once you make the first $197 payment, you get immediate access to the course. The courses, both courses, and I'll coach you through them. But we're gonna split the first 5 deals. Don't get amnesia on me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna beg for your money neither, or whatever. I let people weed out themselves. But I don't know if that gets in it. That's probably one of the best deals I've offered in a long time. But this is for the people that are attending the Flippinar tonight. So you get 3 easy payments of $197. So that will be billed every 30 days. You make the first payment. It starts. You get the coaching and the courses and everything immediately. We split the first 5 deals. Now I can only take on so much of this. So we're only going to do 5 people tonight. Well, I'll just say by Sunday. So if it happens tonight, we cut it off because this is really inexpensive compared to what the normal prices are. So we're only going to do 5 people tonight on this. So if it reaches 5 tonight, boom, then it's over or whatever. So 193 payments of 3 easy payments of 197. We split the first 5 deals 50-50. Now you don't have to take this option. You don't want to split the money from them, but I'm making it available to you. So we'll go ahead and just open up the question and answers period of the segment. Darren, you ready to do that? We got any questions?
Yes, Leslie, go ahead and enter your questions in on the chat box to the left. Just enter them in, and we'll get Flipman X. All right, Kevin asks, before you made a large sum of money, did you register your business as a company and obtain an employee ID number for taxes? If so, did you register your business as a marketing business? Should we subtract 30% from each wholesale to avoid tax issues?
Well, I didn't, and the way I advise people on that, you don't always want to follow me on stuff like that, because I'm a renegade. I'm just being real. I did the first 3 years of just in my name. I wouldn't advise anyone to do that, but I don't advise anyone to feel like they have to wait to do that before they get started, because it's not going to kill you to do a deal and then you do that, because you'll have the money to do it. If it's a situation where you have the money to do your marketing, get your education, and also do that, then do it. But if it's a situation where you don't have the money for the LLC or to establish an entity, don't do it. But as far as holding out 30% or whatever, yeah, just manage it. That's up to you. If you want to do it that way, you can hold out 50% of it and handle your taxes that way. But I'm not a CPA. I recommend you do that. A girl that I went to college with, she's a CPA, but she works for a large bank as a VP. She doesn't do taxes. She just does my taxes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, how do you navigate the closing company if they have never done a wholesale deal before?
Wow, I just had that to happen, and where the closing attorney, they turned the deal down, but I didn't choose them. The buyer chose them or whatever, and I don't think this buyer is that seasoned. So we moved it over to a title company that I've done business with. So, but in most cases, if you have a client of theirs in place, in most cases, this is the first time that's actually happened to me. Just to think about it, I didn't even really think about it because I already knew what I could do. But in most cases, if it's someone that they already have a relationship, even if they've never done a deal before, as far as a wholesale transaction, they'll do it because they want the business from that client that's coming to them, month after month. This is someone, it's not, they're coming to them all the time. So that's a steady stream of income to them. And it's not like they're doing anything illegal. They just need to understand what they're doing. And just the first deal I did, that attorney had never did an assignment or wholesale deal before, but he wanted to please his client, and he knew it was simple assignment of contract. That's just basic law, contract law or whatever. I'm not an attorney or whatever, but I've been advised by attorneys, that it's just basic contract law, and any attorney tell you can't do it, they just give you an answer because they're supposed to know, but they're not giving the answer because they know. They feel they have to give you some answer. So if they don't know, they're not going to say, I don't know. They're going to say, you can't do it before they say, I don't know. Next question.
Okay, awesome. How do you feel about direct mail? Man, Steve Wise from Fresno.
Yeah, it's people run their entire business, man, on through direct mail. It works. They run their entire business on it. You have to be very consistent with it to get the results, because it may take a while for you to receive results on direct mail. You may have to do a couple of mailings, and it depends on how you're mailing, who you're mailing to, And again, the number of mailings that you're sending out now, I train my students to do it a little different to stand out from what everybody else is doing because everybody's doing direct mail. Last couple of deals I've done that came from direct mail, both of the sellers say they had a pile of postcards, but they read mine and called me just because it just stood out in the mail, So, but to answer your question, it works. Again, people don't. Everybody doesn't do bandit signs. Some people don't have never done bandit signs. They ran their entire business off direct mail.
Okay, awesome. Do you use transactional lender for your multifamily deals, or do you still assign the contract, and what are the fees involved?
No, I just do an assignment. I've been fortunate enough; I hadn't had any issues with that at all. There are no fees to me. I have paid some brokers some of my money just to get them working in my favor. And I don't mind doing that at all. I'm a what's half a zero guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm always want to make more than they probably make it, but I've had situations where they made more than me, but we close the deal. So to answer your question, I've never used transactional funding before. If you notice, I've never talked about it in any of my stuff. And I'm not saying don't do that. It's just I've never had a need to.
Okay, awesome. Can you wholesale bank-owned REO properties? There's a lot in my area.
I've never done that before. I understand there are ways to do it. Just the flat out way that you do a wholesale deal, uh, the way I've explained it and the way you may understand it, you can't do it with banks that way. Now, some people say you can create an LLC as far as the buyer and the buyer, and you sell the LLC to who's going to eventually buy it. And you get around because lenders they're not going to allow you to assign a property. They're not going to allow you to double close on it either. Now, if you got a closing attorney or a title company that does that, that's on them now. They're doing something that the bank definitely not approving them to do. So, but I guess transactional funding, that's an option to actually do that with. But again, you have to obviously have your buyer ready to go to do that.
Okay, awesome. All right. Is the purchase agreement the actual basic contract to create the initial term contract? AKA, how can create a term of agreement on a bar napkin?
Well,
Yo, you got flip, man? Oh, okay.
If you, I think I got the question. If you're creating just some simple terms and then go to contract, with houses, it's not that difficult to do. You just write up a simple contract in most cases. I want to use one-page contract for that. With apartments, if you got terms, it depends on the size of the units that you're dealing with and all that stuff will determine how detailed you need to go as far as terms of an actual agreement. You're not you again, it depends on the size of the unit and the price that what type of contract you use with apartment. It's just different. It's different when we're comparing it to houses because all the factors that could be involved with apartments. But again, if the apartments are cheap enough, you can just use that one-page contract that I use because I've done it before. But if it gets more detailed in the price, and you don't have lending involved, you think because of the price, most people are not going to pay cash for a property. Once it reaches a certain point, then you're not going to probably be good just using my one-page contract. You probably allow the broker, if they're involved, to create the contract for you.
Okay, awesome. All right, so All right, Margaret asked the 3 easy payments of $197. Do you get started on your first payment?
Say that again.
On the 3 easy payments of $197, do you get started on your first payment?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, awesome. How can you create a term with a motivated seller on a bar napkin? So the bar napkin will work if I encounter a motivated seller, then a purchase agreement on the next day.
Yeah, just do it on the next day. You're not doing no bar napkin. Just tell them you're gonna meet them the next day. It's not that big of a deal. Just meet them the next day.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions? What are the questions? Let's go. All right, here we go. He said, Steve from Fresno said, Ty, if your program will help me get my first deal, I would split my first 10 deals with you.
Well, fortunately enough, you don't have to do the 5. That's the other thing that I'm holding you to. Now, if you want to give me money off 5 more deals or give us, then so be it. But the current offer is for 5 deals. But I appreciate the free money.
Hey, is it best not to do a double close, but to do an assignment as long as I make the seller aware that I'm making a profit?
Say that again?
Is it best not to do a double close, but to do an assignment as long as I make the seller aware that I'm making a profit?
You don't have to get into that with a seller. The only thing they need to know, you're buying the house. It doesn't matter to them. They know you're not doing this for free. If it sounds like I'm a little frustrated with that question, but I'm not. I'm just, they don't care. They know you're not doing this for free. Trust me. If you agree on a price and they get the money that you all agreed upon, it just won't matter. They won't care, but you don't need to get into trying to explain wholesaling to them. Just like you have questions now. I don't know how much you studied it to this point, how many hours you put into it, but you're not going to be able to explain this process in 5 minutes and somebody gets it. You're just not. They're gonna, when people are unsure about something, especially when you're dealing with money or things that they own that they're trying to sell or whatever, and they don't understand the process, they're not want to go to do business with you. So you keep it simple. I pay cash for houses. I close in 2 to 4 weeks. That pretty much answers any question that they have. If they ask you what you're going to do with it, you tell them I'm going to make some money off of it. That's what. Hey, well, what other reason am I buying it?
Okay, awesome. All right. Charles X, can you explain the easy payment and split again? I guess with the program here.
Yeah, it's 3 easy payments of $197. Once you make the first payment, you're going to actually get access to the course immediately. All right. So, and the coaching from me comes directly. So once you make that payment, so you'll be invoiced every month, for the next 2 months for the other $197. But we will split the first 5 deals 50-50 that you do on those 3 easy payments.
Okay, awesome. Makes sense. Go to flipman.com to get that. Flipman.com. You guys got to take advantage of that.
Flipman.com, not flipman.com.
Flipman. Yeah, theflipman.com. Theflipman.com. So, all right. So, how do I flip a lease, a commercial property, lots of traffic? What is the first step?
Well, what is it? What are they talking about? You talking about a property that already has a tenant or does not have a tenant?
What are you talking about, Margaret? There, what are you talking about? Just elaborate on your question. Sean asks, so you recommended to do a double close? Where he said, well, he's asking if it's cheaper to do it as an assignment because double closes mean more cost out of my profits.
Yeah. A double close is going to cost you more. Normally, they're not going to charge you double the closing cost, but it's just cheaper to do an assignment because it's just one transaction. I think Margaret said no tenant. Well, that's a whole nother ball game, Margaret. That's what me, Darren, and I work on every day. That's just a whole nother ball game. We start talking about flipping vacant commercial buildings. I don't know. I don't know when I'll get into that at any point on these Flippinars, but that's just a whole nother ball game.
Okay, awesome. All right. How do you market your properties after putting contract on a deal? Also, have you tried auctioning a property through a third party?
As far as marketing the properties, online and offline, through banner signs and through, through your, the sites that everybody knows. So, online and offline, Craigslist, Zillow, and banner signs are probably the three most effective ways. Facebook is not bad also. As far as auctioning a property, I'm pretty sure it's possible, but you get into probably most auction houses are not going to want to do that if you don't actually own the property. I don't know. That's nothing I've tried to do. As a wholesaler, you don't need to do that. It just no reason to do that. And auctions take time to do. You just don't need to do that, in my opinion. It's not needed to make money.
Okay, awesome. Let's see, if I can't come to an agreement on price, how do I purchase property on terms?
Number one, you have to come up with the terms that would obviously benefit you and the seller, but they need to be to your advantage for sure. But you have to negotiate terms that are going to be favorable. I'm assuming you're talking about holding the property for yourself. So depending on if it has a mortgage on it or not, the condition of the property or not, what are your intentions for it? Are you going to rent it out, or are you going to turn around and owner finance it to someone else? So all those factors would fall into play as far as what type of terms that you negotiate. So it's a vague question with a vague answer. It just depends on what you're trying to do.
Okay. Okay, it says, Charles X, has any student surprised you from starting your business, made you proud?
Oh my God, yeah, yes. Probably my best student. Hadn't talked to him in a while, but he's exceeded what I do in Cleveland. Now, and when I say that, he went into another direction. I think we text back and forth a couple of times this summer, and he said he had 40 houses rented, all paid for. He has a serious niche. He has a lot of income coming in from rental properties. So yeah, that guy there, he was one of the first. You know what I'm saying? He's getting it. He's really getting it. I had others, but that's the one. That's the one, just because of the property that he's accumulating. You know what I'm saying? So and I think he pretty much manages all of them himself with maybe some people that he hire up under him. But even at, what is that, 600 a property, that's 24,000 a month. That's coming in running. They're all paid for. It's a lot of bread.
All right. I have an owner finance opportunity right now. The owner has it under contract with a leaser, but I have an investor who might join me with fixing up the house. Do I create a purchase agreement with the owner and then another contract for the investor that wants to join?
Wait a minute. Read that again. Read the last part of it again. Read the last part of it again.
I just read it all. I have an owner finance opportunity right now, but the owner has it under contract with a leaser. But I have an investor who might join me with fixing up the house. Do I create a purchase agreement with the owner and then another contract for the investor that wants to join?
Well, obviously you got to create a contract with you and the seller. As far as the agreement with you and with the investor, it depends on your relationship. You know, a lot of people I work with, for the most part, I don't do contracts with them. You know, I trust people probably too much. So that's going to be what your level of or what your relationship where it sits with that investor, and obviously what his role is within the transaction. So that's just going to depend on what you all are trying to accomplish.
Okay, awesome. All right, do you or have you ever used a virtual assistant? I'm currently working full time and finding it extremely challenging to do everything I know needs to be done. Help, LOL.
I hate to ask you that again. I'm responding to text message. Say that again.
Do you have or have you ever used a virtual assistant? I'm currently working full time and finding it extremely challenging to do everything I know needs to be done. Help.
Well, I've never used one before. The only thing that I guess come close to a virtual assistant, and this was years ago. This was before cell phones are as cheap as or inexpensive as they are now. I did have an answering service, but it was expensive back then. I don't even know what they cost now. I don't suggest that now. It's all about time management. So you have to ask yourself now. Now, let me just take you through what you need to do, and then you have to manage your time around that. All right, and I don't know where you are, but some action is better than no action. I'm assuming you have some off days, right? So the main objective is, again, I preach it. You got to get your phone ringing. So if that's through direct mail or bandit signs or online, whatever method you're going to use, you got to get your phone ringing. So if you're only going to have time to do that on the days that you're off, then that's the time that you're going to have to spend to accomplish that. You know, I don't know what other activities or what other responsibilities that you may have in your life, but it's going to have to be some sacrifices made somewhere. I don't know what you do for as hobbies or entertainment. It's going to have to be some sacrifices made somewhere. Again, I don't know enough about your situation to be able to even remotely answer that question for you. I'm just different, man. You know, people think a lot of my friends think I don't do nothing, but they don't realize that. Yeah, you might see me in Walmart at 1 o'clock in the daytime, like I'm gagging around or something or whatever, but it's really not like that. I'm working all the time. Now, obviously, I'm not working all the time, but you know, my mind is working all the time, and it's nothing for me to wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning to get on my iPad and just start working on some stuff just because I thought of it. So I don't know how to explain it, you know, because I don't know enough about your situation. But you're going to have to make some sacrifices in some parts of your life to accomplish anything as far as the business, and that goes beyond real estate. So, but again, I don't know enough about the situation to be able to help you.
Okay. All right, with the 3 easy payments, does that include unlimited coaching or just coaching for the first 5 deals?
It's just for the first 5 deals. It's just but trust me, you're good after those first 5 deals. You won't need me anymore. And if you decide to upgrade, which one, it only going to be a few. It would only be a few more dollars or whatever. But you'll have the money to do it if you feel like you need it, but you won't need it. If we've done 5 deals together, you will know how to do this.
Okay. All right. Awesome. How do you get sellers homes that's local under contract if the seller lives 12 hours away? How will we close the deal at a title company if he isn't present? Does he have to be present?
No, those are the ones that you want. You want sellers to be out of town to close those, because those are just an email away and then FedEx or UPS back with a notarized signature. And some attorneys, they don't even need that. They're comfortable with electronic signatures through DocuSign or one of those services. So those are the beautiful deals there, because you don't have to sit there in a closing with a seller and buyer and try to entertain both of them while you're trying to close the deal. So yeah, email and overnight or electronic signature, make those some beautiful transactions. Yes, you can close those.
Awesome. Flip man, what do you recommend is the best way to find buyers list, or do you recommend to find motivated sellers first? And if so, what are the best ways to acquire motivated sellers, Mr. Flip man?
The best way to acquire I didn't get the first part of the question, but the best way to acquire motivated sellers is to get your phone ringing. You know, again, I'm biased because I've tried TV, radio, billboards, newspapers when they existed, direct mail.
What about PPC?
But nothing works better than bandit signs. What did he say?
I said, what about PPC?
I've done. Oh, I forgot. Well, I call that the internet. Yeah, I've done that. It just PPC is too expensive now, especially in that real estate arena. There's some other avenues out there that I'm experimenting with through social media ads. I haven't figured it out yet to even put it in a course or whatever, but I'm close. I got to make some money off of it first before I share it with others.
Okay, awesome. Then how large is the percentage deducted from doing a double close?
Again, it'll depend on the title company or the closing attorney that you're dealing with. They may charge you for 2 closings, or they may just charge you the attorney fee, or they may charge you half of the attorney fee. It would just depend on who you're dealing with.
Okay, do you advertise as a seller, or do you say you have a contract on the property?
No, you advertise just the property. You can get to all those details when needed. When needed.
Okay, awesome. Any more questions, guys? Any more questions here for the Flip man?
Again, guys, 3 easy payments. Only going to take, how many did I say I was going to do? 5?
Yes, sir.
The first 5 deals, 50-50s, 50-50. 3 easy payments of $197. You're not going to get a better deal than this from what I offer. You can get that at theflipman.com. That's theflipman.com. You can go there to register. That offer won't be there that long. Again, I guess we can go ahead, and we don't have any questions left. Or do we? I see somebody said, do you have a recommendation or something?
Yeah, we have a few more. It says, how does a wholesaler work with a buying agent that has deep discounted properties that are listed on the MLS with other agents?
Well, number one, stuff that agents have are not secrets. Anything that's listed on MLS is already advertised online, either through Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. It's not like they're secret. You can go in and do search criteria. If you want to only find properties in a certain zip code, 35215, 5 to 10,000, just put that criteria in and put listed properties. It's going to pull up everything that realtor can pull up. So it's not like they're presenting you anything of they're not adding any value to you. Let me just say that. If you're going to deal with realtors, couple of things. Obviously, you're gonna need proof of funds. You can go to Real POF and get proof of funds. Not the only place, but I'm recommending that. RealPOF.com. But it's called they're not going to take you serious unless you can prove you can pay for it. Period. All right. You have to understand that they're going to want earnest money. There are ways around it, but they're going to want earnest money. Normally, a minimum of $500, most of the time, 1,000 or more. All right. Which I did a Flippinar on this before, but I suggest don't using a realtor that you're dealing with. Only deal with the listing agent. Give the listing agent an opportunity to double dip, to keep the entire 6% or 5% or whatever they're charged as far as commission on that property. Use the greed of humans against them. And what I simply mean by that is that they would prefer to make 100% of the commission versus 50%. And if you don't understand what I mean by that, it's not that often that a realtor will list a property and they find a buyer for the property. So they have to split the commission if another agent brings the buyer to the table. But if you contact them directly and let them know that you won't be using an agent, then they keep the entire 100%. That increases it still doesn't guarantee anything, but it increases the possibilities of you closing that deal and getting an offer that's probably a lot less than what they're asking, accepted, versus if you have some realtor sending you listings that they just pulling down that you can do yourself, and then they getting a commission on something they just sent you an email. They ain't did nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's best to contact the listing agent if you're going to target listed properties, in my opinion.
Right. Okay. Who do you recommend for bandit signs, inexpensive bandit signs?
Well, the people that I deal with, and I recommend all my students to, you don't have to use them, but it can be a measuring stick as far as pricing, a gauge for his pricing, is dirtcheapsigns.com. Don't order online. Call and speak to them and ask for Curtis or Sonny and let them know Ty referred them. They'll give you a 5% discount. Not that much, but over time that would add up. Dirtcheapsigns.com. Dirtcheapsigns.com. Call and ask to speak to Curtis or Sonny. Curtis or Sonny. And just let them know that I sent you.
Okay, awesome. Sean, you need to get Garland. You gotta get the course. You got a lot of questions. You got to get the course.
Right, what do you got?
Yeah. Business entity first before my first purchase agreement, or is it safe to remain by myself at first and then after my first sale? Well, I'm not sure if I should be an LLC or a corporation.
That's all subjective. That's all subjective on what you do. LLC works fine for this though, but I'm not an attorney or a CPA or whatever, so I'm limited on what I can tell you on that now.
Yeah, it's best just to talk to a CPA just to keep it simple. But it's just depends on what you're going to be doing, truly. So just talk to a CPA. Keeps it simple. How do you create it? How do you create a Facebook bandit sign? How you create a Facebook bandit sign? Do you know how to do that, Mr. Flipman? Get the course, man.
What did he say?
He said, how do you create a Facebook bandit sign? Do you know how to do that, Mr. Flipman?
That's a work in progress. I'm not sure. That'll be one of those things. I won't probably ever just go crazy on YouTube or even in a Flippinar going into that. That will be something, and of course, because it's still new, a lot of people don't know how to do that. I think I'm close to figuring it out, and I'm gonna ride that donkey until I can't ride it anymore. I'll share it with students, but That won't be anything I put out there on YouTube. But I'll put it like this: when I put it out there on YouTube, it has become trash. It'll be just like Google AdWords. It's too expensive, and it won't matter anymore. Because Google AdWords is just too expensive.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Yes, basically it. Any more questions here? Any more questions? You're welcome, man. I'm just giving you a hard time. Flipman, glad to answer your questions. You still here, Flipman? You ready to give away the course? It don't look like we have any more questions here.
All right.
Sure. Are we going to do one and one again, or just?
How many we got on? Let me see here. Let me stop this screen. I can see it here. Oh, we got a bunch on the phone. Okay. Yeah, do one and one. Do one and one.
All right. All right, so let's
Again,
see. So first
episode don't win. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. Change your situation. I'm not in a sales pitch mode, but whatever. 3 easy payments are $197. We split the first 5 deals. Yeah. Hey, don't get any better than that. That's cheap. You can get that at theflipman.com. Theflipman.com.
All right, so I have for the online, Derek Bland. You're gonna need to email Flipman. What email address you want to email you at?
Email me at ty@flipman.net.
So ty@flipman.net. That's Derek Bland. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna do the phone one. All right, on the phone I have 301-556-8771. That's 301-556-8771.
Hey, that person you can email me, but I prefer you send me a text. 205-492-3425. 205-492-3425. That person just can text me from that number that you just called out. Just let me know, hey, I won the course or whatever, and we'll go from there.
All right, yeah. So 301-556-8771. All right, so.
And the other person, you can text me also, but you can email me at Ty. That's TY at Flipman.
I'll send Derek a message right here to send you a message.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so that's not a problem. Any last few questions here? Anyone?
Yeah, any more questions or whatever, and come back next week. We'll give away 2 more courses. Tell your friend, family, mama, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, brother, sister. Hey, y'all can share a course. Got more people on here listening. Hey, you can share a course. You can share the information.
Yeah, awesome. All right, says Sean said, can you repeat your 5 deals at 50/50?
Yeah, it's 5 deals. The first 5 deals, 50/50. It starts with the first payment that you make of $197. You'll be billed every 30 days for it. So that's a good offer. I'm not sure what else I can do. I thought of that today when I was putting this together. So I thought it was good, maybe not, But again, you can get that at theflipman.com.
Okay, Sean said, will you buy any wholesale deals from him?
Where are you?
Freeport.
Free for about 6 hours from the Ham. Um, I hate to say no to anything, because I don't know what you may get your hands on or whatever. But I don't open that up as a practice. I generally don't like to look at houses outside of my market. But if you had apartments or some vacant single tenant building, then hey, or well, yeah, that but that's a whole nother ball game. On both of you have to know what you're doing. So generally speaking, it's difficult for me to open that up on houses because you can look at so many houses and they're not deals that it just would be too time consuming. So that's why I sort of say no, but I don't say no, if that makes sense.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Charles said he ready to get to work. Did you get the course, Charles?
Yeah.
Yeah, get the course. And he's in the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. All right, that seems like it's it, Flip man, for this week.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate everyone coming out. Thanks, Darren, for assisting me. I don't know if I could do this without him. And we'll see you guys next week. Go ahead and get registered already for next week. Flippinar.com. Just go there and hit register now. Tell a friend, family member to come out. Again, I'm giving away 2 more courses next week. You all can share it. The more people you have come along, post it on your Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And you all can share the course. More people you have there, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Who you give it to is out there at that point. It's like if you buy a book. If I had written a book, I can't control who you give it to or whatever. So invite others out to register, and the more people you have in, just like you done bought several lottery tickets. That's what it is, baby. Just like you win the lottery. But anyway, just being silly. But again, thanks guys for coming out. Darren, thank you. And we'll see you all next week on the next Flippinar. Thanks. And we'll see you on the flip side.
Awesome. Have a great one.